Spend an hour walking your new team members through the exact process for handling a certificate of insurance request. You were clear, you answered every question. Two people even took notes. A week later, a request comes in and your CSR issues a cert with the wrong additional insured language. The client's contractor catches it and calls you on the phone. And the thought hits you, I taught this. I know I taught this. So why did they still get it wrong? If that moment sounds familiar, I need you to hear something. This isn't a failure of effort or a failure of even having the right attention. It's a failure of transfer. The transfer problem is simple to describe and painful to experience. Knowledge learned in one context doesn't automatically move to another context. Your team can understand a concept in training and completely fail to apply it on the job, not because they forgot, but because the training never built the bridge between knowing and doing. It's the invisible wall that blocks most insurance training. We assume that if we explain something well enough, people will be able to use it. That assumption's wrong, and cognitive science has known it for decades. Here's why insurance is uniquely exposed. A training room is a controlled environment. The questions are expected, the scenarios are clean, and there's time to think. But a live client interaction has none of those conditions. The phone is ringing, the client's frustrated, there's a producer waiting for a quote. The CSR has to recall the right process, apply it to an unfamiliar situation, and do it under pressure, all at once. That's a completely different cognitive demand than sitting in a training session and nodding along. And unless your training is designed to progressively close that gap, the transfer fails every time. This is where the principle of directness comes in. Directness means learning must happen as close to the actual performance context as humanly possible. The more your training looks like the real job, the more they'll likely have a skill that will transfer. Think about it this way. If you want your team to handle certificates of insurance correctly under pressure, they need to practice handling certificates of insurance under pressure. Not just read about them in a workbook, not just learn about them in a webinar. I outline a 4-stage process for this in my book. It's called the progressive reality method. Stage 1 is observed reality. The learner watches an expert handle the situation. Stage 2 is assisted reality. They do it themselves, but with guidance right there. Stage 3 is supervised reality. They handle it independently while someone monitors and gives feedback. And stage 4 is independent reality. They own it completely. By stage 4, the gap between training and the real job has disappeared, because the training became the real job. Most insurance training lives entirely in stage 1. We show people things, we explain things, and then we release them into the wild and wonder why they stumble. The transfer problem isn't mysterious. It's predictable and it's fixable. The next time you're tempted to blame your team for getting something wrong after training, pause. Ask whether the training ever required them to perform that skill in a realistic context. If the answer is no, then the training failed them. Click the subscribe button if you want the full science behind training that actually works and really transfers.